to Rolando. This time he takes it himself, untouched, into the end zone. Rolando Martinez from 1 yard out, and the Abernathy Antelope strike first. Comes McKaylee Marshall off dribble, mid-range jumper. Marshall gives Abernathy the lead. Now he hands it to Rolando. Burst of speed, up the middle. Dagger! Touchdown! Superman! Down. Second. Over the way. In the corner, Flores. It's good! Flores the steal! And the three-pointer as time runs out. Flag comes in. The punt is blocked. And it's going to be an Antelope touchdown. Barring the penalty. As it's Cash Garcia who blocked it, scooped it, and scored it.
And there we are. Hey, we're working out the kinks, but good evening. Hello, Abernathy, Texas. Hello, fans of the Abernathy Antelopes and Ladylopes. Welcome into Outside the Box, our new weekly program that we have for you here on the Abernathy YouTube channel in conjunction with the broadcasts that you have come to know and love on Friday nights and Tuesdays and Friday nights during basketball season. Just thrilled to be here, joined with Chance Rocha. We'll be every week on Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m., rain or shine. We plan to be here. And just to give you a little bit of a heads up on kind of where the idea of Outside the Box came from and where it started, you're used to seeing us inside the box, right, Chance?
Very true.
Except in Post and maybe New Deal. But most places you're used to seeing us inside the box. We're outside the box, and not only that, we want to take a look at all things Abernathy, school-related, community-related. Obviously, we're going to talk football. We're going to talk sports because we love it, and we like to talk about it. But Chance, just really excited about launching this new program.
Yeah, super excited, Ty. Just love that we have such a great community here in Abernathy that supports things like this. They tune in every Friday night by the masses, and we really appreciate that. And so we just kind of wanted to do something else to kind of highlight things, as Ty said, not just football related, but all things, Abernathy ISD also around the community. So we're really excited, and we have some fun stuff planned for tonight's show and throughout the season.
Absolutely. And without further ado, let's jump in, Chance. And I know we're going to be covering a vast variety of things on this program, but it's week one of the high school football season. We're getting ready to open the season up Friday night as the Stratford Elks are going to be in town for a big season opening football game. Want to just kind of take a look. We'll preview the Stratford matchup later in the show tonight, but just kind of take a look at the season as a whole, the season at a glance, if you will, as we kind of preview things a little bit. As the Abernathy Antelopes, they're coming off of a season, Chance, where they went 5-6 a year ago. It ended up better than it started. We dealt with some injuries and some different things early in the year. Fell to 2-6 through 8 games, and it was looking pretty bleak. Reeled off 3 straight wins to actually get into the postseason. We tied for second in district when it was all said and done, and then the season ended in the by-district round of the playoffs as Abernathy fell to Childress 28-6 in the final game of the last season. But they're going to try and build off that late season momentum that they had. They've got 5 or 6 starters returning on both sides of the ball. And you've got guys like Elijah Trejo or Jagger Wiley, whoever's starting at the quarterback position. Double deuce, Rolando Martinez. He had a huge end of the season last year, rushing for 14 touchdowns on the year. And then I think the strength of this year's team, Chance, could be The offensive and defensive line, you've got the likes of Ryan Hillis, Jackson Arrington, and, of course, Kelton Carver, the staple in that line. He's getting some D1 looks as well, but lots to look forward to as we get ready to start a new football season.
Yeah, it's super exciting. You kind of mentioned we kind of had that big push late at the end of last season. And then again, we come up against Childress and the injury bug hit us again, played a tough game against them, but Rolando did go down. And, when you have your bell cow, your workhorse that we've been giving the ball to, and he goes down, it's kind of hard to pull off a big upset against a good Childress team last year. But everything's looking positive going into this season around some of that core group that we're returning. And we do have some new faces that we hope. We got a roster. We don't have the 1 and 2 deep, but we do have some new faces that maybe guys to look at, like Dre Minfield or Darren Duvall, possibly getting some reps out there. And there's some young guys, but they look to make an impact early on in the season.
Absolutely, Chance. And we've also got a new old face on the Antelope sidelines. And I want to highlight that a little bit because I think that's going to be a huge addition to this year's coaching staff. Is a new offensive coordinator this year in Keith Bloskus. No stranger, though, to Abernathy. He was here for several years, a couple of years ago, took a quick hiatus and then decided he better get on back to A-Town, and glad he did because he does a great job at offensive coordinator. I'm really looking forward to some of the things and schemes and play the playbook that he's going to bring to the table.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. And like I said, he's familiar with not only the town, but he probably does know some of the boys and is familiar with the rest of the coaching staff. So that's something that's exciting to come in. Last year, we finished great. Our offense was good, but sometimes a change of pace can be needed. So
yeah, absolutely. We're going to know where the Antelopes are right off the bat.
Early on in the season, for sure.
Like Friday night. An extremely difficult non-district schedule for the Abernathy Antelopes as they start with a pair of top 10 matchups. Stratford on Friday. We'll, again, talk about them a little bit later in the show. They're the unanimous number 1 team in the state in small school Class 2A. State semifinalist from a year ago. Physical up front. It's going to be a big-time challenge on Friday night. But then you move on from that and take a 2.5-hour trip to Sunray, Texas, where you've got the Dave Campbell's Class 2A cover guy and their quarterback for Sunray. I forget his first name, but Lujan is his name, and he just put up video game-like numbers last year. They're ranked number 9 in the state, just ahead of Abernathy, who is number 12 in Class 2A Division I. And then you've got traditional powers in Littlefield, Farwell, which is always good. And then you're going to close out that non-district slate against Friona for homecoming. But, man, you could be staring 0-2 in the barrel and be a really good football team.
You could be a very good football team. And I think that benefit, and credit to the coaching staff, to Wiley, for setting up such a tough non-district. You want to go into your district prepared, even if you lose all those games and you run the table and and go undefeated in the district. Those ones and by or preseason, they don't matter as much, but you want to make sure that we do get some W's out there. But you are very correct, Ty. Stratford and Sunray are no teams to mess with. Stratford, as you said, they went deep in the playoffs last year, and that was in big school 2A. They've actually dropped down a division, and so. But Sunray is going to be one of those ones. If next week it could be a playoff rematch later on down the road.
Absolutely.
And so just seeing how Abernathy does in the district, but that could be a team that you see later on in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chance, I think the reason there are some expectations in Abernathy this year, you talked about Stratford making the drop down to small school 2A. Well, Abernathy makes the drop from Class 3A small school to Class 2A big school. So a completely new look district, but man, it's a gauntlet.
It is a gauntlet, and I know there's rankings all over the place. Dave Campbell's, you have Max Preps, and you have a couple different ones, and there's one out there that actually has our district as the toughest district in the state of Texas. And why would you not? You have New Home moving up from small school 2A, and they kind of ran the table.
We haven't even played them yet, and I already don't like them. They're already a rival.
That's it. But that's what you want. You want somebody like that that's going to compete and going to challenge us. So you have them, and then you have New Deal, who has for the last 10 years, I mean, they've kind of ran that area between them and Post. Years back, we kind of talked about this. Abernathy, Idlew, New Deal, Slayton, they all used to be in a district. As towns have grown, New Deal has kind of stayed in that same area, in that same district. But between those three, and then you have your other teams like Post, who, just a few years ago went to state, back-to-back years, and then Floyd and Olden rounding out the district, they're gonna be tough. You may not deal with some of the size that we had in 3A, but it's not getting any easier dropping down.
And I'm excited to renew some of those old rivalries with people like Floydada and New Deal, as well as cultivate some new ones, like we said, against teams like New Home.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. And, the other thing that is funny, even though we are dropping down, ironically, we're still the third biggest school
That's crazy.
in our district.
Yep.
Post and Noodle are actually slightly bigger just from a number standpoint. But, I say all that, you see some past state championship appearances by New Deal and Post, and then New Home kind of being a perennial in the playoffs. But if it's up to me and up to, our faithful community here, I think the top of that district is going to get a lot more maroon over the next few years.
That's what we're hoping for.
That's what we're hoping for.
Make them see maroon.
For sure.
Some of that, what do you call it last year, Chance? Antelope magic?
That's what I like to see. Yep, antelope magic.
That's what we're looking for here in 2024. And Chance, I know you're the same way. We could talk football for the next 45 minutes.
For sure.
And I'm excited about it. I can't wait for Friday night. There's nothing like Friday nights in West Texas and at Antelope Stadium. And we will talk plenty of football tonight and on this broadcast. But a huge reason, like we said at the top, that we are launching this weekly video podcast Outside the Box is because we want to highlight some other things going on around Abernathy ISD, as well as the school, the community as a whole. And before we jump into our next segment, which we're going to kind of call, at least for tonight, a look around AISD, I can't fail to mention the people that help make these broadcasts possible.
Oh, 100%.
We've got some incredible sponsors this year that are sponsoring not only this show and helping make it possible, but our Friday night broadcast, our basketball broadcast come basketball season, just super for what we do, and just really for the kids and the school system. So just thank you to those sponsors. We could not do it without you. But as we kind of take a look around AISD, Chance, for just a little bit, we had a cool conversation this week with our high school principal.
Yeah, we sure did. And again, thank you to our sponsors. And that's something, like you said, community is big here in Abernathy. There's a lot of love for the town, for the students, for the sports, and for everything. And, when we had a chance to sit down and visit with Tate, that was one of the things he highlighted, just about everything that's here in the community and the draw that we have, and just how it's a really good place to be. And so I don't want to spoil it too much, so we'll kind of go to that interview, and you can see what we learned about Tate this week. So Tate, it's your first year as a principal. How's it been so far? We're a couple weeks into the school year. How do you feel like it's going?
I feel like it's going really well. Anybody that's been in these halls and know this school, this is a magical place. Our teachers are phenomenal. Our kids are just rock stars. Coming from a different school, you can't explain to anybody. I've tried, how's Abernathy? You can't. It's an incredible place. It's like no other place I've ever been. Going in this first year, it was AP last year, for people that didn't know, and so I've had kind of I'm not gonna say easy. No one in education says their job is easy,
Right.
but it's been, I think, fairly smooth. It's God knew where I needed to be, and so He's guided me this way, and I know we're gonna hit bumps, but so far, man, it's been a good year.
That's exciting. That's exciting to hear. And I know that, you kind of took over at the end of last year and you're in transition in. And so I like the way you put, it's a magical place. I've done the same thing. We've tried to explain to people, it's a different community, Abernathy. It's very well it just feels like family,
Yes,
no matter where you're at.
absolutely.
And then you don't find a lot of communities like that,
No,
especially in today's world.
no.
Yeah. So, what are some as a principal, what are some goals you have set out for the year?
So actually, and I'm glad you asked me that question. So right before school started, my church asked me to speak kind of about what my goals were for, the school year coming, becoming a principal. And ultimately I had to really think about it. This has kind of been the theme, and I've talked to my teachers about it and my kids about it. We're here to challenge them. We have some of the brightest, brilliant kids, and they're already hitting that peak of, we're hitting the level, we're passing what we need to, we're doing what we're supposed to. Let's go a step further. Like I told the kids, like I want the moment you graduate here, you apply to a job, or you go to college, and they hear you were from Abernathy High School, like that person's going to be a leader. That's the people we need leading us because that's what our legacy needs to be. And so that's what I tell my kids this year. Like you're here to be challenged, and I want you to walk away here being one of the strongest adults that the world's ever seen. So that's part of my goal.
There's not much more you can ask for from an educator or a principal, because the old saying goes, if you prepare the path for the child, or prepare the child for the path. And I like the fact that you said you want to challenge them. If what they're doing here is somewhat difficult, once they get out there, things are going to be a little bit easier. And
Oh,
so
absolutely.
if they meet those challenges, rise to that occasion.
Yes, absolutely.
So we know you take as a principal. Tell us a little bit about your family. I know you got 2 kids. You're married.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, if anybody's been to any sporting event, you've probably seen me with a 2-year-old on my hip running around, or he might run up to you. So be prepared for that. But I have a beautiful wife. Her name's Keely. I have 2 incredible kids. I have a kindergartner named Reese. She thinks she runs the school, so if she bosses y'all around, I'm sorry. And then I have Briggs, who's my 2-year-old boy, and he's normally running around causing some kind of drama. The last time I looked up, Coach Wiley was carrying him around because he just ran up to him. So they just love Abernathy, and they think they own the place at this point. So
well, when their dad's the high school principal, they may have a little bit of pull, but
they're the real bosses.
I have kids at home, so I understand what it's like too. So, have you looking down the path this year? What are some things that you're really excited about for the students, for yourself, and maybe for the staff?
I'm just excited, just having to be in here a second year. Like I feel like I definitely don't know everything, but I know a lot more. So that for me personally, I'm not as lost as I was last year. It's really nice knowing all my kids' names this year. When I walked in last year, trying to figure out who everybody was, and that's one nice magical thing about this place is I don't just know their face, I know their names. And so that's kind of something I do look forward to. But also, we live here now, which is so nice. It's nice to be in the community, and that 2-minute drive to work is a lot better than the 30-minute drive. And so personally, that's what it is. I love watching these kids grow, and it'll be my first year to see a group go from, juniors to seniors and really kind of making that transition and kind of really watching that group just become young adults as they're already kind of getting there. And I'm excited to see that. And then got the freshmen and I'm real excited to see. This will be my first, last year's freshmen will be my first group to see all the way through and having a new group come through. And so that's an always exciting thing. Also, I'm really excited about our AP. I don't know if y'all haven't had a chance to meet him. His name's Landry Kidd. He's an awesome guy. He's here for the kids. He's passionate, and so I'm excited to work with him.
Yeah, sounds like you have a good team, just educators, principal, and staff all around. So I'm excited that you're fitting in really well, and we're able to visit with you. One last big question: how do you feel about Friday Night Lights here in West Texas and in Abernathy?
There's no better place to be Friday night than out there in Antelope Field. Those lights going on, covered in maroon. It is one of my favorite feelings. And oh man, I can't wait. Especially the band's going, the cheerleaders are going. You hear the boys hitting each other for the first time, and scrimmages are good. But man, there's nothing like our Friday nights here.
Thanks, Tate.
Thank you.
And that was our interview with Mr. Tate Albright. And Ty, sitting down with him, it just kind of let me know that our admins here, they picked the right guy.
Absolutely.
He came in, as we mentioned, at the end of last year, and it's his second year. He was the AP or the assistant last year and being the principal this year. But the things that stood out to me were just his adamant about his faith. His family was very, very important to me, and just how passionate he was about the teachers in the community. And then when you tie that all in with the fact that his main goal for those kids is to challenge them.
Yeah.
Not to make it easy, but
that's
to challenge.
Huge.
Yeah, that's huge to challenge them and to see them be leaders. And I love the fact that he talked about wanting to be here for a long time to be able to see those freshmen that are coming in and see them all the way through that transition and graduate as seniors and see them, go out into the community and make an impact and represent Abernathy.
Yeah. Super impressed with Mr. Albright. I know a lot of you guys probably don't know him well. You're going to get to know him in the coming weeks and months and get to know his kids and family. They may come jump in your lap and welcome them and give them a pat on the back.
That's it.
Thanks so much to Mr. Albright for joining us. Also want to take a look, Chance. Obviously, everybody's excited about football. We've got a couple of sports that have already kind of kicked their seasons off. You got our Lady Lope and Antelope cross country team, and they actually competed this last Saturday in their first meet, the Rust Buster Relays. Kind of like that name.
Yeah, it is. I think that's what it was too. It was kind of a different type of relay
at LCU. And I'll be honest, I had to reach out to the cross country coach, Carrie Carlisle, when I saw a Facebook video at a cross country meet of somebody handing off a baton, and I was like, what the heck? Is cross country a relay now? I would have liked it a lot more in school if I would have just had to run a leg of it.
That's right.
But kind of more of an intro meet. We were talking about that off air.
Yeah, it was a little bit. They had one of the athletes would run one part of it, and the other one they kind of tag, hand off, and the other one would finish it up. And it really was, knocking the rust off of that and getting them back into the swing of things into the season. So
they're preparing for a meet this coming Saturday, as they're going to be running in the cotton fields of Acuff, Texas, as they're going to make the trek to Roosevelt. So good luck to our boys and girls cross-country team. I have no doubt there will be a show in the coming weeks where we highlight that group of student athletes.
For sure.
Want to talk about our volleyball program. It's kind of a big deal right now in Abernathy. This is the first varsity season that we've had for a volleyball program.
The inaugural.
That's what you call it, right? And you've got a volleyball program being led by Kat Thompson. She's kind of kicking the program from the ground up the last few years. We had a chance to catch up with her this week and want to let you know what she said. The volleyball team, they're learning, they're growing, they're getting better, and they're really, sounds like where she wants them to be.
For sure.
We'll let her kind of tell you about that. But they are a couple of weeks into their season, as you had both junior high teams being successful as they won their games on Monday against KPA, and then JV and varsity, they most recently went to Freona a night or two ago and battled and fell just short in those matchups. But the JV and varsity are going to be in the Tulia tournament. I believe that's this coming weekend. But we sat down with Coach Kat Thompson and got to chat a little bit of volleyball, and it was a pleasure. Let's kind of hear what Coach Thompson had to say about our volleyball program.
Lady Low volleyball coach Kat Thompson. Kat, thanks so much for taking some time with us today.
Of course.
I just want to highlight our volleyball program. Obviously, you were tasked with starting this volleyball program from the ground up. This is our first year of varsity volleyball. Kind of what's been the most rewarding experience in starting a program like that from the ground up?
Well, it is very exciting to have our first varsity season. From the ground up, when junior high, it's so fun to watch their progress from the first day in 7th grade, and actually in 6th grade when we really try to start with them, and then all the way through 8th grade. And the growth that they see from 7th to 8th grade is tremendous, and it's so fun to see their smiles on their faces. And then now transitioning to high school the last 2 years, it's been the same. But obviously, the game gets a little harder. It is a little more advanced, and they're trying to learn to keep up with those skills, and they are doing a fantastic job in keeping up with it.
Awesome. So, like we mentioned, this is the first varsity season we've had. So, when fans come out to a Lady Low varsity volleyball game, what can they expect from this year's team?
Well, we are very young, so most of our varsity is mostly freshmen and sophomores, and so is our JV. We do have a senior this year that hasn't played before, but has come out and has really put in a lot of work and effort, and she is coming along pretty quickly. We will see a lot of, well, of course, varsity's playing up, and so they're playing more advanced teams that have older girls that have played a little bit longer, so their knowledge is getting there, and we are learning more and more every day. So I know that by district, I hope that we will be comfortable where we are and competing, knowing we're playing up. Our JV is doing a fantastic job. We just won our game Saturday against KPA in 3 sets, and so they're right where they need to be.
Awesome. And you kind of mentioned coming up on district and getting ready for district. Obviously, this year Abernathy made the drop down from 3A to 2A,
Yes.
which is helpful because we're playing teams more our size and school our size.
Yes.
Kind of what do you feel like the biggest challenge in district is going to be, and what will district look like with the Lady Lobos?
Well, so we do have a few new teams in the district, us included, as well as Tahoka. So it'll kind of look a little different. I guess, not necessarily young, but we will be learning it'll be different levels, I guess you could say. Ropes is in our district, and they went to the regional tournament last year, so they're going to definitely be a team to look for. Alton and Plains, they always have a decent size of girls, and they're just scrappy teams. And then, of course, you have us coming into it in Tahoka and Post. And so it'll be interesting to see how we do. But I think the teams that we play before district are going to help us get ready for district.
Awesome. You touched on it a little bit, first couple of weeks of the season, kind of filling things out, learning, growing. What have you seen so far from this year's varsity team?
Man, a lot of growth and knowledge of the game, for sure. They play so well together, and they are learning how to continue to step up and be leaders, even though I know they are young and they feel it. But I think that they are doing a good job of knowing that they're all in the same boat, and as long as we're here as a team fighting together, we'll get through it, and hopefully we'll see more success. That's one thing I keep reminding them, that success isn't going to happen right away. It's going to slowly come along, and especially since we're so young, we're not going to maybe see it this year, but hopefully in the next 2 years, they will definitely feel it and see it. But they have to realize that we're going to have to overcome some obstacles. We're going to have to really we're going to be challenged, and we have to challenge ourselves to understand how to take adversity. So.
Last question.
Yes.
Obviously, you're married to a coach. You talk a lot of coach. You do a lot of coaching. But outside of coaching volleyball, your husband coaching basketball here in Abernathy, who is Kat Thompson? What do you like to do outside of coaching volleyball?
This might be the hardest question. No. I mean, obviously in the summer we still go. We're just coaching. This is what we love. We just love to be around kids, and we love our sports. But if we aren't absolutely doing that, we are traveling. We love to go on as many vacations as we can, get away. We definitely love golf. Or playing sports ourselves, and then just being with our family and friends when we can, because we don't get to.
Golfer, you or Drew?
Definitely me. No.
I love it. Well, thanks so much, Kat. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
And there you have it, just a great chat with head volleyball coach Kat Thompson. And Chance, first and foremost, the most important thing we learned from her interview, she is the better golfer between her and Coach Drew Thompson. If you don't know, he's our head boys basketball coach here in Abernathy. But she set the record straight. If you see him on the links, you probably know who's got the better score.
That's right.
But she talked a lot of really good stuff about volleyball as well. And Chance, it is a challenge for her to come in when a few years back you don't have really any girls that have any volleyball experience, and she's really starting from the ground up building this program. And she talked a lot about growing pains and learning the game and trying to catch up to the speed of the game, and how most of our varsity team this year is freshmen and a few sophomores, and then the one senior that she spoke highly of. But just she's doing a really good job. And one thing I really liked about what she talked a little bit about on air, but also off air, she's not waiting until they get to the varsity level to start working with them. It's through camps and different things, and even in 5th and 6th grade, really working with those kids and getting them prepared for her volleyball program. And I'm just really impressed with Kat Thompson.
Yeah. What really stood out to me is she talked a lot about, this group right now, they're going to have their growing pains. Wins and losses isn't going to kind of dictate their growth on the court, but it's more so of setting that foundation. Those freshmen and sophomores in 2 or 3 years, you're going to look up and they're going to be winning a lot of games. And they're going to compete in some games this year as well. And so, but I also like the fact that start them early, start them young. So volleyball's kind of here to stay in Abernathy. So we might as well get used to it and get excited about it.
I'm excited, yeah.
I really am. And I know a lot of the the girls, the younger girls, are excited about it as well, and you can see that with those two junior high teams doing so well this past week and getting those W's to start off the season.
Yeah, just really impressed. So best of luck to those volleyball girls. And Chance, we talk about it being growing pains and all the things. Tell you what, though, Coach Thompson's competitive, and she expects to compete in district.
Oh, for sure.
She's put together a good non-district slate to prepare this team for district play, and she talked a little bit about what that district is going to look like. And they've got a chance to be in the top 2 or 3 spots maybe, and so we'll see how that plays out. But best of luck to Coach Thompson and her entourage of coaches, and I know she's got lots of help in our junior high, JV, and varsity volleyball teams. One more time before we kind of go into our Stratford preview and wrap things up here on our first episode of Outside the Box. Again, not only our product, but more importantly, just the kids and people of our community. So go out and give back to them if you can.
Keep it local, give back to them, and definitely give them a call if any of their services are rendered in your area for sure.
Yep. So let's preview Stratford a little bit, Chance. And I was excited when we dropped down to 2A because that meant we got rid of Canadian. But then Coach Wiley has the bright idea to schedule Stratford, which is the Canadian of 2A, if you will. They've been dominant at the Class 2A, small school and large school levels. Honestly, they're a team that could compete in 3A probably as well. They're no doubt unanimously by about any publication you look at, they're the number 1 team in the state in small school Class 2A. They're the hands-down favorite to bring home a state championship to Stratford. And Dave Campbell's has them number 1. Off of a team that went to the state semifinals last year, Chance, they've got 16 starters coming back from that team, 8 on both sides of the ball. They're led by their senior 4-year starting quarterback and linebacker, Bryce Braden, and just some incredible numbers for Braden. But you're facing an animal on Friday night in the Stratford Elks.
You really are, and I think that you talked about that unanimous number 1, and I think most of that is coming from all that they have returning. So they're returning the group of their core, their starting quarterback who has 3 years of experience on both sides of the ball, and then the coaching staff and everybody else, and they're going to be like we said, just like Canadian, they're not going to make a lot of mistakes. They're going to play very sound football. And I think that, like you said, win or lose, we're going to kind of know where we stand as a team. And to come out of the gates with a team like Stratford, we kind of joked about it. Man, Wiley, why'd you put that on the schedule? But
I'm glad he did. Yeah. In all seriousness, I like it.
Stratford and Sunray, both of them. But I think it's one of those ones that they come in here and especially some of those younger guys who are going to be moving up to varsity, and those will be maybe their first varsity game. They're going to see a really good team. Right off the bat, and that's something that's really going to kind of introduction to varsity football here in West Texas, and you can't ask for a better thing on Friday nights than a competitive football game with a team like Stratford coming in. And I know around the South Plains it's one of the highlighted games of the week for sure.
Oh, no doubt. And I can assure you one thing, and I've got family that lives in Stratford. I would love to beat them more than anything, but they're not going to be pretty. They're not going to be cute. They're not going to be fancy. They're going to come in. They're going to try and beat you at the line of scrimmage. They're big. They're strong. They're physical. And Abernathy, their strength this year, a lot of people think is going to be their defense. It could be a very physical battle at Antelope Field on Friday night.
Well, if that's going to be one of our strengths, we're definitely going to have a test early on.
Yep.
And I think just returning some of that core, between Arrington and Carver and Ryan Hillis, I think that having those guys up front really setting the tone is going to matter. And there was a lot of times at the end of last season where that group really did set that tone in the trenches up front. And if you win the trenches, a lot of times you're going to win the game. And so coming in here and seeing that battle right off the bat is going to be pretty interesting on Friday night. And I'm going to be sad that I'm not going to be joining you on Friday.
I know. What's up with that, Chance?
You know, I'm outside the box. I'm going to be way outside the box on a Friday. I won't even be in the
I'm
box
going to be inside the box. I'm going to be back inside the box. So rest assured, Antelope Nation, we'll be in the box, or at least I'll be in the box on Friday night. And just wanted to throw this out there because I was looking at it earlier. We'll talk a little bit more about it on the broadcast on Friday. But we mentioned Stratford's quarterback, their linebacker, Bryce Braden. Chance, he accounted for 48 touchdowns by himself last year. He passed for over 2,000 yards, and he almost rushed for 2,000. Just an unbelievable athlete, and you're going to have a tall test on any way you look at it on Friday night. So, anyways, that's kind of a look at the Elks and what the Antelopes are stacked up against on Friday.
And do you want to highlight a little bit about, we've had a couple scrimmages and how we've kind of looked up front. We don't know starters. We don't know any of that stuff. We're outside the box. We don't have any insider information here. Just so y'all know. But from what we saw, we heard good things. We didn't go to River Road, but we heard good things about the scrimmage there. And then the scrimmage this past week against Clarendon, we did see some good things.
Clarendon pretty good, yeah.
Saw a lot of physical football, big pushes up front, and some hard running from our running backs. Some of the our other guys, Kelton kind of sat out one of those games, and we may have an injury. We're not sure how distant it's going to be and how long it's going to be for one of our seniors. But I think from what we saw in those scrimmages, I'm excited for our team this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be a lot of fun. And Chance, that's kind of bringing us to the end of our first Outside the Box episode. We're going to try and keep these to 30 or 40 minutes if we can. And then we're probably going to look up and still be talking an hour and a half later. But I promise we'll try and not do that. We know you guys probably have better things to do. But Chance, give us a quick look at what's coming up in next week's Outside the Box and kind of what to look for moving forward.
So moving forward, we want to say thank you to the Antelope Faithful, number one, along with our sponsors and everything else. But it's going to be a similar format moving forward every week. We're going to try to be here 8:30 every Wednesday, be consistent with it. And next week we'll start off with a recap of the Stratford game, talk about some of the highs and lows and what that game looked like. And then we'll have our look around AISD. We're actually going to highlight some 4-H and some FFA things happening that are really big in this area. And so we'll have some fun stuff to talk about with that. And then, it starts with Stratford, and then we're going to start talking about Sunray. And so we'll highlight some more sports and some other things going on, cross country and volleyball. But we'll wrap up the show with the Sunray preview and see what that long trip up north is going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. We would encourage you, if you can, tell people about our program, share it on social media. The recording will be available. We'll post that on our Facebook page and in different places. But man, we do this for you, and we do this because we love being a part of this community.
100%.
And Chance, I'm looking forward to it. Been a lot of fun tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll try and do this together and not screw it up. Good night.
God bless.
And go Lopes. We'll see you guys next week. Actually, we'll see you inside the box